Heutige Veranstaltungen. Dear Firas, dear Noor, thank you. I'm glad to have you here tonight. Mein Name ist Febe Tonina und ich bin Mitarbeiter hier im Polit-Forum Bern. Ein Ort für Austausch und politische Diskussion. In Bezug auf die gegenwärtige Situation können wir nur sagen, dass trotz Corona das Polit-Forum führt weiter Veranstaltungen durch. Vor Ort mit maximalen 15 Personen und im Livestream. Wir begrüßen Sie also in unserem Podiumssaal mit einer Wohnzimmeratmosphäre, so haben wir probiert. Der Käfigturm war früher ein Gefängnis, sie ist aber heute ein Ort für Austausch und Diskussion, wichtig für Demokratie, gerade auch in der aktuellen Ausnahmesituation. Das Ziel ist, viele Menschen und ihre Geschichten einbeziehen und hierfür eine Plattform geben. Spezifischer zu heute Veranstaltungen, dieses Format zu Gast in Bern ermöglicht Persönlichkeit aus der ganzen Welt, die zu Bern in Gast sind, eine Plattform geben, um über die Erfahrungen zu berichten. Über die heutige Veranstaltungen freue ich mich sehr. Wir haben es lange organisiert, wir wissen schon, aber es läuft und ich freue mich sehr. Der Gast, den wir heute eingeladen haben, ist der Journalist und Autor Firas Shamsan aus dem Jemen. Er hält sich derzeit in Bern auf im Rahmen des Programm Writers in Exile, des Deutschschweizer PEN-Zentrums. Wir haben den Projektkoordinator Blum eingeladen, der uns kurz die Organisationen vorstellen wird. Die Diskussion wird von Noor Alamery, Journalistin bei Lucify, moderiert. Lucify ist eine partizipative und integrative Online-Plattform, welche Informationen und Unterhalten bietet, ist mehrsprachige, interkulturell und bringt eine weibliche internationale Perspektive in die schweizerische Medienlandschaft. Noor Alamery ist Auswältin für Menschenrecht und Feministin. Sie wurde in Bagdad geboren. Seit 2018 lebt sie in der Schweiz und hat seither in verschiedenen Integrationenprojekten gearbeitet. Sie wird mit Firas Shamsan über Medien als politisches Instrument und seine Erfahrung als Journalistin in Jemen und in der Schweiz sprechen. Noch ein bisschen lang. Für das Publikum jetzt noch ein paar Informationen. Die Veranstaltung ist Deutsch und Englisch. Für das Publikum hier in der Podiumssaal, es gibt noch einen Moment für Fragen am Ende. Und Sie können einfach den Hand hoch und ich komme, oder Stefanie kommt mit dem Mikrofon. Und auch für die Leute, die uns auf Livestream folgen, während die Diskussionen, Sie können auf den Livestream-Chat Fragen stellen und wir werden dann später in diese Frage- und Antworten-Moment die Sie antworten. Und noch eine Sache, die wichtigen Inhalte werden auf unsere YouTube-Chat auch zusammengefasst. Also ich wünsche euch eine gute Veranstaltung und ich gebe nun das Wort an Blum.
So, auch von meiner Seite herzlich willkommen und vielen Dank für die Einladung, Febe. Firas Shamsan habe ich am 14. Januar 2019 zum ersten Mal getroffen, hier am Bahnhof Bern, und das war sein 34. Geburtstag. Er hat da zum ersten Mal die Stadt Bern gesehen Und es war auch das erste Mal für die Stadt Bern, dass sie einen Stipendiaten des Writers in Exile Programmes empfangen konnte, weil die Stadt Bern ist mittlerweile eine Stadt der Zuflucht. Es gibt weltweit 77 Städte der Zuflucht, die organisiert sind. Bei ICORN, das heißt International Cities of Refuge Network, also weltweit haben 77 Städte ihr Wort gegeben, dass sie sich einsetzen für Schriftsteller, Schriftstellerinnen, Journalisten, Journalistinnen, die Zuflucht brauchen. Ich selber heiße Adi Blum und arbeite für das Deutschschweizer PEN-Zentrum. Das Deutschschweizer PEN-Zentrum wiederum ist eine NGO, die sich für die freie Meinungsäußerung einsetzt und sich insbesondere auch für Schriftstellerinnen, Journalistinnen einsetzt, die in ihren Ländern ihrer Arbeit nicht mehr nachgehen können, weil sie entweder im Gefängnis sind oder sonst wie von ihren Regierungen gehindert werden, ihrer Arbeit nachzugehen. Firas ist der erste Stipendiat. Er kann 2 Jahre in Bern sein. So sieht es das Programm vor. Er kriegt eine Wohnung, er kriegt ein Stipendium und alle Unterstützung von uns und von der Stadt Bern, dass er in diesen 2 Jahren weiterarbeiten kann, weitermachen kann mit seiner journalistischen Arbeit. Diese 2 Jahre dienen auch, dass er sich eine Zukunft vorbereiten kann. Meist ist es so, dass diese Leute, Firas insbesondere auch, nicht mehr zurückgehen können ins Land, wo sie herkommen. Also dienen diese 2 Jahre auch dazu, eine neue Zukunftsperspektive vorzubereiten. Über Firas, denke ich, wird Noor etwas erzählen. Ich halte mich kurz and I switch the language to English. And I'm here if you have any questions afterwards to give you more information. Noor, so the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Adi. Sayyidati wa Sadati, meine Damen und Herren, my ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Noor Alamery, and I am very much honored to be your moderator for this night. I hope everybody's staying healthy and safe wherever you are watching us from. On my right, we have our guest tonight.
Hello.
I would like to introduce Firas Shamsan, the journalist and the writer from Yemen. أهلا وسهلا Firas.
مرحبا أهلا وسهلا. The gates.
The gates. Firas was born in Yemen and
In Saudi Arabia and
I apologize. So Firas was born in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah, and then he moved to Yemen, where he grew up in Sana'a and Aden together, and he studied media and journalism in Sana'a, in the University of Sana'a, which he had to leave, unfortunately, after the political protest in Yemen in 2011. Firas's work in journalism has always taken more of a civil and cultural side. He started multiple projects in Yemen which were focused on raising awareness, especially during the time of the civil war, where his campaign was مخك للتفجير وليس للتفجير, which basically means your brain is for thinking and not for bombing, which is maybe considered a bit empty at the time.
It have a meaning in Arabic.
Yes, it has a meaning in Arabic, which I understand. Firas, sorry. Perfect. After the civil war has started in Yemen, Firas had to leave Yemen, and he went to Egypt, in which he started multiple projects there, and he focused on culture and art as well. He started the channel Fen Time, which means art time in Arabic. But during his time in Yemen, unfortunately, Firas was imprisoned and arrested. Yeah, in Egypt, that's what I said.
Yeah.
He was imprisoned and arrested, and unfortunately, he had to run away back to Jordan, and then from Jordan, he went to Malaysia, where he pursued therapy for 3 years. During his stay in Malaysia, there was a documentary starring Firas about his life and his journey. I feel very heavy telling this story, Firas. I cannot imagine the amount of pain, physical and mental, that you've been through. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am very happy to have you, and I am very much I would like to very much thank you for joining us and telling us about your story.
It's my pleasure.
So I am very much interested in knowing how it was like to raise awareness in a society that would be considered very much religion-oriented, such as Yemen. How was it for you to try to shift the attention from religion to civilization, to being a civil society? How was this experience for you? And most importantly, how did the people react to it?
Okay. I grown up, as you say, in Yemen. Actually, why I born in Saudi Arabia, it's actually, it's when Adi said that I arrived in my birthday. Always, my birthday is 14th of January. It's reminder of war. I born in war, which in January, it's in the 13th of January, was a mass killing in Aden city, which my mother was living, and she have to move. That's why I born in Saudi Arabia, and she returned again. And I grown up in 1994, where it was a civil war also, and I start to grown up more when I start to go to the college. I start to notice there is another wars, which is from Sada to Aden to many places. And between this, there was many experience in my grown up and my personal life and my experience around. So I noticed there is something wrong, and it's need to do an action. So this action where it's guide me to go and participate in a social society. I start to do some campaigns. Before the campaigns, I was volunteering with many NGOs, and I start that is not really enough. When I go to the media, I discover that we have a big problem. Like, I will go and I will write about someone poor in the street, but I will return home and this man will stay in the street. So I start to change that. Actually, when really I start to do an act, when really I find one man, it was sleeping outside of the hospital. When people call me, that man, he's an Ethiopian refugee. They throw him out from the hospital because he was positive HIV and no one with him. So they throw him out from the hospital to the street. And when I arrived, that man doesn't know the language, doesn't know anything, and he was half naked. And when I start to talk about this case, I noticed that we have two things: just to write and publish the story of this man who's in the street, or to do an act. So I didn't focus about the topic, which is can do a hit as a magazine. I moved this topic to my colleague in the magazine. We was freelancer. And imagine as a freelancer, you leave the story and consider more to search about someone to help that person. We made it really hard until they get him back again. A couple days, he died. I don't know the way how he died, but I didn't feel that he died in a good way. But from that time, I start to feel that we can do some change. So instead of writing about the topic, why we don't do a change? So at that time, I start to collect friends of mine, and I start to use the power of internet. And I start to talk with other journalists around the Middle East, in Yemen, outside of Yemen, and we came with this idea, Youth Media Forum, which we collaborate as a journalist, freelancers, and we start to launch like a page in the magazines and write about the topic which is really not touchable. We start something with the local magazine called Ilaf. It's a newspaper, and that was for free. We was launched a page. It's called Youth, and we start to share topics which normally is not welcome in the media, like what about a young man win a prize and this. All this started because I want to change the image of. When you search about Yemen always in the internet, you will not find Al-Baradoni, or you will not find many good names. You will find someone who will talk about qats, which is a local drugs where people is using it, or talking about war. So at least we try to push this a little bit in front. And here, when I discover that we don't need more political we need more art and culture. And this is where it started to change, that I came with the idea of Youth Media Forum and Fun Time and the whole work.
And what was the religious aspect on that? Did
Okay.
it conduct with the religion or not?
Yeah, of course. Okay, I came from a religious background family. I don't grown up with them, but I have grandfather with you know, in the Middle East, you can just go in a community or that you say, I'm from this family or this family, people will accept you. I never use my name, I never use my family name, and I try to work hard to not give that expectation about the family. So religionally, that's really big, hard, where you will start to notice it with your own family. Sometime I have a funny story, which I was like for 2 or 3 months, I was working in a brochure. I made a campaign, is حياتي أجمل بدون تدخين, which is my life is better without smoking. And this is like a small campaign. I started because I was in the past, someone is smoking, and I tried to stop him to smoking. And from that, it's become an international campaign. It's a long story, but you can search about it in the internet. So when I made that brochure, and I gave it to someone, and he take the brochure, was looking and open it, close it, open it, close it. I think he will judge the material. But he told me at the end, okay, not bad, but why you don't put Subhanallah or La tansa dhikrallah, which is something religion. You will get benefit from God. And I was shocked, you know, all this work, and you don't think this is valid for the people. This campaign later become active with the WHO. They choose me to be one of the youngest, like we work in the policy of anti-tobacco in the Middle East, in the MENA region.
Yeah.
So I was looking like people will not accept the ideas. You should always put something from religion. So you have that always fight when you go for higher topic, they will not accept it more, and you will start to fight with your own family members where they think that's what you're doing, it's not really good. Yeah, even I remember in the first day, it's for the first time I say it in public, but it was the first event of youth, international youth ceremony in Yemen. I made it with, that's 2008, I made it with United Nations. Mm-hmm. And in that day, when I was trying to go and talk about hope and future, my mom wasn't expected that from me, and she thinking like, what are you doing? And even I get beaten before I go. So imagine you get beaten in your home. My mom is not that bad, but maybe she's thinking what I was doing is bad. But she was thinking like, I do something silly or something not have...
Of religion, or because she was afraid of you.
I don't know how they expect it, you know, like sometimes people will be happy to see you going like wearing like religion dress and having the religion style. Mm-hmm. But I was beaten when I was going to say something for the youth or hope or future. So this is put you in confuse.
Yeah, it's quite confusing. I don't see why would religion be opposite to something like youth. What do you think was the reason? Why do you think was it against the religion to speak for the youth?
Okay, if you go from that perspective, because when you go to the Middle East, especially I will speak about, I came from Muslim community, where in Muslim community you have two sides. Like sometimes you will be good and you're doing a lot of good. I see that by myself, and there was an example of a man where he was really good person. He do everything nice, but he doesn't pray. So people consider him it's not good.
Yeah.
But we have this about people who's selling honey. I don't know if you know about Yemeni honey. It's the best. So if you go to buy or sell honey, you have to get that religion look that people will believe in you. So if you are, I used to have one friend, he doesn't look religious. So no one was buying the honey from him. So it's confusing.
Yeah.
So if you need to change it, you need to become the model People will not accept it from you in the beginning, but you have to work hard.
So during your stay in Egypt after the civil war, where you started to work on multiple culture and art activities, and where you started your channel Fentime there as well, there was a book fair in Egypt where you participated, and there was a certain incident that happened there,
Exactly.
which has caused you, unfortunately, to be arrested and imprisoned. So I'm really curious to know what happened exactly at this book fair. Was it religion related, and were you the only person who got arrested, and what happened to the other people who were in the book fair, and is this related to your Projekt Writers in Exile?
Okay, before I go to Egypt, when I was working as a journalist in Yemen, I was focusing about political, and I share many things. I work as a freelancer. I made it with some international and local newspapers and radios. And at that moment, I discovered that after 2011, in 2011, I started with the media, but I moved and I started to join more inside the revolution, the activist in the street. And from this, I start to hear like, we miss one sound and one real voice, which is like, all the people will talk about political, and there is no action on the street. So you have like 5 or 6 person, all the media is talking about them. As an example, you always, like an example, in Iraq, you have to speak like Muqtada Sadr or whatever, blah, 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 Khomeini and this. In Yemen, it's the same. Houthi, Ali Abdullah Saleh, all these people, it's always in the front line. And what you say from the media, if you go and you study the effect of the media, they don't care. Just put them on picture and say whatever. Say good word or bad word. They will be stuck, because when you post the picture, when you publish something, you will put his picture. As an example, Trump or Khomeini or Muqtada, whatever he did, he will be stuck always in the front line. When we do an activities, and I see the young people, when they do campaigns, they work hard and they publish them on work, and they expect they will be the cover of the magazine next day. And some crazy man came and blow up himself, he will be the cover magazine. And if they didn't delete the videos or the photos from the magazine of the newspaper, they will be in the middle, no one will look at them. So from there I thought, no, we need to change it, and I start to search about young artists, especially women, why we cannot put them in action, not put these people in the picture. So then I started a project with a friend of mine. He was a businessman. We called it Yemen Tamam website in early 2013. Yemen Tamam was about sharing good topics. But it's changed because he's a businessman. He will not see that successful in that way. So I take the project and I change it to Fun Time, and I focus about creating and building young talents, musicians and artists, and I start to make videos about them. When it was really hard in Yemen to work, and it was totally complicated, I tried to move out. I go to Egypt, because Egypt's considered as the heart of the culture and the art. You know, we have everything from media is coming from Egypt, art, series, movies. So if you want to success, you have to go there and you start. And this is that. When I moved to the book fair, that's quickly, the book fair, I just go to film the book fair and I interview the people for Fun Time. And I have several videos about art and culture to encourage the young people. For sad reasons, I was filming my friends, where he was in the event. He's a Yemeni guy. He was talking about his book. And during I was filming, some lady came and she wanted to interact inside the film. Why are you filming? Can you pick me in the video? Say, okay, I filmed her. What you want? What kind of book you buy? She say, a cookbook. So actually, I put in prison because a cookbook. And she's finished, and she wants, that's already what you're doing? I say, yes. She say, where are you from? I say, I'm from Yemen. And she said, oh, that's nice. That's media is focusing about the current, the books and this, not like the other media is talking about political. And suddenly another lady came and they start to talk together, and I don't know what is happening, but they start to say bad words to each other. I called the police for them because they start almost fighting. When I arrived, she called one of the ladies, she called the police, and she have a relative, or don't know how is that is this like preparing this thing or something, I don't know. And there is a man with 3 stars, and he came and take me to say, yeah, let's write against her. Let's do an report. And she start to say, yeah, he's from Al Jazeera channel, where I wasn't.
Oh.
And I have all the approved that I'm not Al Jazeera channel. I have document that approved to be in the book fair.
I'm sorry, I just would like to notice that Al Jazeera channel is a very controversial, political, somehow radical channel in the Middle East. That's why he was accused of.
Yeah, at that time it was the conflict between the Muslim Brotherhood and the military, Egyptian military. So consider that fight. Al Jazeera consider is supporting more Muslim Brotherhoods, not. And they start to catch the journalists. I believe that any journalist have not to get catch if he from Al Jazeera or not from Al Jazeera, because I always say it. A camera is just a mirror. It's only reflects what you're doing. So when I was there, and the officer take me with him, he said, yeah, let's write a report. He take me to the point of the police station, and I discover already, the lady is already there, my witnesses wasn't here, and they start to say, Al Jazeera, Al Jazeera. We have a film, and actually it was, what happened to me, it's similar to a film, it's made in the 60s, it's called إحنا بتوع الأتوبيس, or we are the people of the bus. And it was the same, like it's tell a story of people, it's by Adil Imam and that. Everyone know it in the Middle East, where they was having a trouble in the bus station, but the officer lose 2 or 3 political prisoners, run away, so he grabbed them and put them as a political prisoner. Imagine when you take to the prison and no witnesses, no one, and they ask you, like they take you, they beat you, they cover my eyes, they beat me, and they say, why did you go to the book fair? Imagine that question. Do you have an answer for it? I say, they was asking me, why did you go to a book fair? I say, it's a public place. And I say, like when you are a criminal, when you expect to do something good always, you expect to be in the spotlight. They say, oh, that's nice, that's good from you. But imagine you go to a jail because you was in a book fair. What kind of crime you can made in a book fair? They have nothing to say, and always change. When you go to the court and you go to the judge, I would say always open my camera. They stole my camera. They stole my camera. In this camera, I filmed a documentary film in Yemen talk about small lady, baby called Yemen, and she's from Abiyan, where her mother ran away from Al-Qaeda, and she gave a birth when she's running away, and she named her Yemen. This film is lost. They take the camera. I was trying to explain more things about art and culture. When I was working with political actives in 2011, and after, no one come and touch me. But when I go to art and culture, I've been in jail. So that is the reality in our Middle East. They will say, we have a freedom and we open spaces for that. Yeah, you have a freedom to speak, but speak about who? Many of the politicians, they pay some people to speak about them or against them. So they need you to always to get attention about them. But they will never allow artists or musicians. I was wondering when I have friends, they come from European country or freedom country. I don't want to say that all freedom countries just they came from Europe. No, there is some people from Africa, from different countries. But when they was coming to the Middle East, and they say, oh, why you have the picture of the president in your house? They don't know if you don't have this picture. Like an example in Iraq, they will write a report against you.
Saddam Hussein.
Exactly. And in Sana'a, if you don't have the picture of the president, they will make a report against you. So it's always about the picture. That's what I try to do. I just try to change the image. What is the good thing to change the image? Is art and culture. Because if you are free to choose and free to listen something except bullshit politics, sorry to say that, but except this type of political, yes, you can choose. You can choose between Elvis Presley or Nancy Agram or whatever, not the presidents.
Yeah. So were you the only person who was accused of belonging to Al Jazeera, or were there other people with you
Actually,
at this book fair?
yeah, in this book fair, actually, they was trying to put me in with the cases called Al Jazeera members or something like that. But they always try to say that I'm from Al Jazeera channel, but it was never. I never worked with Al Jazeera channel. Even when I returned to Yemen, one of my friends, he worked for Al Jazeera channel, and he's part of the Muslim Brotherhood, and look at me and say, you are the one who's saying that Al Jazeera and Muslim Brotherhood. He laughing, he laughing against me, like, what the hell, like, because I don't agree with them in the political or religional way how they go. So he was even laughing, me. They say they choose the wrong one to say Al Jazeera channel or Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, there's not a lot of sense in what they do anyway.
Exactly.
So,
if you say there is another, actually, a couple days ago, if you know about, there is a researcher. He's from Italy. His name is Giulio Regini. They accuse them now about 5 people. Yeah, they kill him. And what I witnessed in jail, it was not only me, the one who's talking wrong. And I remember one word by Giulio Regini's mother. She say they kill him like an Egyptian. And what I noticed, like when I was in jail, okay, sometimes we see something really bad. And we ask why that happened to us. I believe that is for a reason, to be witnessing from outside and see what is really happening. Not just in Egypt, in all the countries. Now in Iraq, no one will speak about Iraq. I see like many people have been killed. There's an activist also from Libya, a lady, they killed her. My friend in Yemen, he's a journalist. They put a poison in his food inside a restaurant. So imagine why all that's happening. Because they are afraid. We are not strong. I just have a camera. What camera can do for regimes in Yemen or in Egypt? I don't hate Egypt. I don't hate Yemen.
Yeah.
I love Egyptian drama and culture. I meet a lot of the actors, and we love to go there. It's spatial relation. But I speak, there is some people in Egypt try to destroy Egypt, yesterday, there is a lady go to take a photo session next to the pyramids, and they take her to jail. This is, but in the same time, you will see radicals will not go to jail. Have you seen a radical group, like an example, I have a colleague from my university, he joined the Houthi movement, which is a terrorist group, Islamic religion group. It's called Al-Houthi. He joined them. He was poor, he was have-nothings. And now imagine he's become a minister because he joined them. I know some people was working as a ministers, and now they are begging to get food. Imagine a pilot will end up driving a taxi in the Middle East. Imagine a professor from the university end up selling things in the street. It's not shame, but imagine that, and how people selling like drugs or art or joining a political movement, they become presidents and this. This is what is Middle East. It's really dark. But what we should to do, talking about them, I have 1,000 words, have 1,000 story. I think what we have to do is to do some change.
What kind of change?
Love and music and art, books, fun time. It was, I don't give up on fun time. Even when I put in prison, I get released from the prison. I go back to Yemen first. After that, I travel because in the second year, in the same year, the war started. 2014. At the end of 2014, the war started. So I have to run away. So imagine you start to try to work with art and culture, and you get beaten, you put in prison. And when I return, what it was pain me more, that people start to think like, oh, you have been in prison. I cannot work with you.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
After your prison experience in Egypt, you went to Jordan.
After prison experience, I returned to Yemen, and I wasn't okay because I get tortured. I have been tortured. For 6 years, I was walking with a stick. All that's what's happening. When I returned to Yemen, it was really complicated, hard. I was almost, I feel I die in the prison. Totally, I can say that they tried to kill me inside the prison, not physically in a way, but I mean, you kill my soul. Imagine you go and they watch what you have. I always have like art and culture, music, everything they was doing it's a good. Imagine when you try to move from country to a country and they try to find something for you, like, oh, what did you do? In the beginning, they say, you say something bad word against Sisi. I say no. And after that, they change the topic. And they say, finally, what they said, the first thing they say, I tried to destroy the regime of Egypt. I tried how to destroy a regime of Egypt from a book fair. And when you return to Yemen, after that, I get released. They have nothing to say. Nothing. They have nothing, totally nothing to say. Like, I was going there and asked them, what did I do? I was only in a book fair.
That's
That's
really sad to hear. You have unfortunately suffered from a lot of consequences of your time in prison, and I'm very sorry because you had to go through this.
I have to say something cool.
Okay.
They put me in jail because I was trying to talk. And imagine now what? I'm talking from a jail. This used to be a jail. What's our dream, my dream, is to change our communities, our jails. It's to become like this jail. Used to be a jail for political people. And now it's become a political talks, more freedom. So I wish all prisons in the Middle East to change to become a school, an institute, music, art, and culture. That's what is the dream. That is the dream. So they put me in jail, and now because I'm talking. But now I can't talk even from my jail.
I'm very much happy that you can talk here, Firas.
Thank you.
As I said, you have suffered, unfortunately, from a lot of consequences from your time in prison, and therefore you had to do therapy in Malaysia, where you stayed there for 3 years. And during your stay in Malaysia, you had contact with the organization ICORN, the project, which is Switzerland. Bern is one of the first participants in this project. Tell me more about this project.
Okay. First, I would like to thank Mr. Adi Blum. He's the coordinator of PEN-Zentrums. This project is called ICORN, and it's a network with 73. Now that's good. We have more cities involved. So it's kind of a help for writers, journalists, and artists who have to run away from their own countries, and they try to find a shelter or temporary shelter for they want to do something or to run away. For sad that we are running away and we don't find support, even from our neighbors, country neighbors or outside. So when I get out from Yemen, because I was in the list, one of my friends, he told me that it's enough what happened to you to Egypt. You have to leave the country before you be in another prison. And I take the first chance to run away from Yemen, and that was and at the end of 2015, between, it was, I try to remember, it's the 6th or the 7th, and I traveled because I was have a medical, I was not good, I was with the stake, and I was so tired, and I take the plane to run away, but where, I don't know, they just told me, Firas, you have to leave. After I left, they start to collect, they catch journalists in Yemen. Now, 9 of them, some of them, they send them to death by Houthis movement. And now, still, some of them still in jail, and they're suffering from many hard things. When I moved, the only choice to go, it was Jordan, because that's the only time when they open the airport, and I moved. First day, we returned. Second day, I tried to go to the plane, and even they was calling me when I was going to the aircraft. And the good thing, there was an old lady, and I don't know her, but I just saw her there, and it was like a karma. She pushed me to the flight, because when I was going up, and someone came and he called me by my name, Firas, where are you going? And I say, I'm going to therapy, like, you almost going. And this lady looked at him and said, what do you want from him? And she was really brave, this kind of old Arabian ladies, like, angry. What do you want from him? And she pushed me. She said, go, go, go. And she said, what do you need? And she pushed him. He cannot touch me that day. And I success to made it. But it was really hard because I was living. I'm going to Jordan. I have no experience. I have nothing to do. I have no money with me. I just only collect the money to go. And that was really hard to leave. And I know it was really hard because before it, the first time I moved, it was when the Houthis entered Sana'a. And our home is nearby a military camp. Imagine, Sana'a is all part of military camp inside the city, or city inside a military camp. So I live by a military camp. My office is nearby a military camp. And my family at that time, when Houthis entered Sana'a, 2014, we have to leave our home because they have to attack this place. It's called Unit 1 Army, Al-Firqa Al-Ula Mdarra. And my family go to Eden. They run away. We have to flee. And it was funny because a couple days after, I was creating a culture event. It's called the First Art and Culture Conference. We try to gather some artists and musicians and actors. So I was running away from my home. That's the first leaving. And I stayed at Sana'a, and even after the occupation, Sana'a has collapsed. They control everything. And we made that event. Imagine that's your family out and you cannot go to your own home. That was the hard things. And after it, that was worse. But after when I leave the second time, it was when I'm going to the airplane and I couldn't even go to my own home and say goodbye to my family. And I see my sister, they was like in a petrol station, they was having the car to fill, the long, and I just say goodbye for them. That was hard. We have to run away because we just try to make film or use cameras. I never hold a gun. I don't know even how to shoot. I only can shoot with the camera. But the people who have these guns and AK-47, it's easy in Yemen to get an AK-47, but it's hard to get a camera. I remember one day in 2010, we was filming in a city called Marib. And Marib is famous because everyone have a gun. That's part of the culture. And that day, there was a young man following us from the tribe because we're filming about poems. And they're proud with his gun. And at that day, I say, can I take a picture with your gun? And he say, please, can I have a picture with your glasses? This guy was having AK-47, but he doesn't have a shoes. And he was so proud that he take a picture with my glasses. He say, can you give it to me? I say, I wish, but I cannot see. And from that, I feel like, what is his situation? What he can be? It's easy to get a gun. One of my friends, he was trying to collect money for getting oud, a music instrument, for 3 years. But in the same time, in 1 or 2 days, he can get a weapon. Because if he can go join any radical movement, Qaeda, Houthi, Daesh, whatever, it's easy to get a gun. It's hard to get a music instrument. So this is really scared. And I always try to say, send us music instrument, send us book. We have a lot of, I don't know, in the weddings, people taking a photo with a gun, like they are going in a battle. You have a sword. But no one, you know, it's a shame to hold a music instrument. It's a shame if you work as a barber. It's a shame to be a musician. You can get killed and they say, you're lower class. But it's a brave if you have a gun. It's really hard. I'm sorry, yeah.
I'm sorry. I am
okay.
sorry, Firas, because you had to live all of this. It's really hard to just hear it, and I cannot imagine living it alone. That must have been really difficult. But thank you so much for sharing this with us tonight. Thank
welcome.
you so much.
I think every Arabian person have a story. Every Arabian person have a struggle.
Yes.
But we can live with a dream or to change it to a hope.
That's what I hope as well. So after ICORN, luckily you were admitted by Switzerland and you came to Switzerland in January 2019. And so there is a question that I'm really curious about. So in this society among the immigrants, there's a very famous term that's called integration, or Integration of Deutsch. And this is something that every single immigrant have heard. But I'm really curious to know, what is your definition of integration and how far are you integrated?
Okay. Before, I want to add something, you know, like for like almost 1 year and a half, I was trying to get accepted in this project because I waited for like 1 year and a half in Malaysia. And I was applying for many projects. Integration it's kind of word
that we all hear every day.
We all hear every day, but we need it not just, we need it in our communities, in our countries. It's every day. Integration, it's language, life, and engagement with the community. I missed to say something about Malaysia because it was really change for me. When I tried to move, you are running away. I moved to Jordan for 4 months. I couldn't live there. And I tried to integration, you know, like you want to start again.
In Malaysia?
In Jordan first.
Okay. Integration in Jordan?
Integration in Jordan, where they speak Arabic. But when you go there, it's hard to work or to get therapy or to do anything there.
The Switzerland of the Middle East.
Without the beautiful views. But I like Jordan as a country, but there's something really scary where you need to struggle there. But I was having something funny. When I go to Jordan, it's really expensive, really, really expensive. I feel sometimes it's more expensive than Switzerland.
It is.
And it was funny because the first 3 months, I was having a little bit of money. I made it from the reporting, and that when I ran away, I was have like almost around $800 US. And this wasn't able to live in. You need like at least 300 or 400 Jordanian and dinar, which is more expensive. Like 100 Jordanian dinar, it's $70. $70. It's less, you know, like they are higher. So imagine to to live there. And what it was funny, the 3 months I was living in a cheap place for like cheap studio. But when I get broken, I have no more money. I moved to I find something really funny. When I was broke, I moved to the high luxury area in Jordan, which was Abdun, which I have a small room. It's given to me because I was not able to pay money. So one of my friends, called MG, if you're watching, say hello. And she tried to help me like with the living. I was teaching her Arabic. And she's not Jordanian. And she tried hard, so we find this room for 1 month. I can stay. It's not successful for like, it's not for human living, like it's full of muds and they need to re-innovate it. But they say for 1 month you can stay until I move to Jordan. So I was staying there for free, but it was have the good view. Everything's good except the room, but I was in a high luxury. And one friend showed me, see me and he say, "Where are you moving?" And I say, "Abdun." And he say like, "How?" It's not acceptable that it's happening. So when we go back to integration, I tried that in Malaysia. I moved again to Malaysia, struggled hard to work, and I started to take photos and I film and I try to work, and it's really hard because you are not allowed. Imagine I was with a stick. So I was filming weddings and ceremonies. So if you have a wedding, you will ask someone to come to film your event. You will take someone with a stick and camera or a good one. So
I think you are good with a stick.
But the people wasn't, like they say that they say "arag al-musawwir al-arag," which is mean in English what do you say? It's the photographer with a stick. Yeah. So I was struggling hard to keep myself stand, in an event, in a wedding, dance, pushing, and everyone is not like Swiss weddings, it's Arab weddings, feeling happy. So it was really struggle. But I end up working hard. Even I made an interview with they choose me at the end to film one story with the Prime Minister, the old Prime Minister, Mahathir Mohamad. And that was funny, I start to be with a stick, but I end up even filming Mahathir Mohamad. And I start to be freelancing, I start to create good stories, but it was really hard because I couldn't continue because my situation. When I moved to Switzerland, and this is more important to talk about integration, I always see, as Arab, we look like our land. Warm and hot, more hot, warm and hot. Why? Because we are warm. When you see, foreigner, whoa, come visit my house and welcoming you. But when we get angry or we're fighting, and we go hot. So there is nothing in the middle. And when I arrived to Switzerland, I consider Switzerland like Europe, and it's cold, like the weather, the snow. So I'm like the desert. So you cannot directly have a desert and snow directly. No. But in between, what you need to do, you cannot be a snow if you are desert. And if you are snow, you cannot live in the desert. So what we need to do, I try to get something in the middle, which is like a little bit from sand, a little bit from water, to get something called oasis, like tree or grown up something. So it was really hard because I have expectations of Arab, like when we are welcome guests is like we take him from the first day. Well, I don't know you, but you're a foreigner taking pictures. Come, you are my guest. And maybe we fight on that. If you refuse, that is big insult. Yeah. But here when I arrived, it was really different.
How different?
Different. What is really funny, it's like different in a way. You can say they will be, is they are afraid from you as a foreigner, or they are more doesn't understand you. So it's totally different from the side of talk, you know, like when you try to speak even Hochdeutsch and Schweizerdeutsch, and you need to connections. So I expect the warm welcome as a Middle East, but I see the scary, maybe there is a big gap where they watch you. First, they look at you. Oh, he's coming from where, what he's doing. And this is complicated. So it's not my only problem. I don't know. I see it even in an event, a political event, where I hear it from some people here. There was ambassadors, and they say, yeah, we have the same feeling.
Well, for me personally, I believe that integration or integration is a two-side action. And no matter how hard a person can try to integrate themselves, it is not possible if the other part is not willing to do the same.
Exactly.
This is my own perspective. So I feel that we have some sort of a gap here between the two sides, between the two parts of society. I am very much curious, and you as a person who came to Switzerland as a journalist and a writer, I'm very much curious to know your perspective about how could we utilize media as an integration tool to make somehow to reach a coexisting society.
Okay, can we play the photos?
Yes,
I choose some photos and would like to speak about this with sharing the photos. Do I have to? Okay. So it's really important to see that as a journalist, the last thing you want to be, as a journalist, the last thing I wanted to be is to become the news instead of creating it.
Yeah.
So imagine when you arrive here, if you work in media it's like, you know, in Arabic we say الصحافة مهنة البحث عن المشاكل, where journalist is the job where you're looking for trouble. And what I try to say, yeah, this is Adi Blum and Miko. This is when I arrived here. When I arrived here, I find welcoming from the media, but always talking about me, about my story, how I was beaten, I was riding away from Yemen, and how it really was strong and hard. They publish. And after that, it's always coming in the same way, like, how did you run away, how you're struggling in Egypt, how you struggle in Yemen, how you are running away. But I try to integrate more, to create something. And I success with Mr. Mikhail from Radio Rabe. They opened the door for me, and we did 2 episodes in the radio show about Yemen and the music and that. But it was really struggle to share more work, like an example, to create a story about Yemen or music or art, or creating a video, or publishing work here, or rebuild my website as an example, Funtime. I tried to create a short film, I tried to create many things, but it's really hard to find a place to publish it. Because the media here need, number 1, language, number 2, attraction. Like an example, people, I can say it in not just in Switzerland, in everywhere, they want to show your story as an immigrant. Sometimes in a good way, not a lot of people will like to read it. In another way, they want to show how bad. Some media will show you as, oh, terrorists, killers, immigrant will blow up himself or attack you. So they focus on the bad news more than the good news.
So did you feel at some point that your integrity as a journalist was questioned just because of your immigrant background? Did you feel this at some point?
You mean judge?
Like, for example, if a journalist was to come from the US, for example, do you feel like the people will tend to believe him more than they would you?
Of course, we love to stereotype people. So if you come from the Middle East, they want you to speak more about political situations. But if you come from America and they will, I think the opportunity here is I heard from people who's working in media, that's now it's going hard even for people from Switzerland to be working in media, and you need to integrate more, what you can say, to be involved in the community. They will not accept me more than the foreigner. I think that's one. The other American one. And they want you to be part, it's about the problem, not to be a journalist sharing more about Switzerland.
So, did you feel at some point that your right of freedom of speech was somehow held, not because you were threatened to be imprisoned, but because you were not sure how the public will react here?
That's what I'm talking about. In the media, they will focus more about me as a person, writer in exile, as a story. Mm-hmm. But what after, it's when I want to rework and recreate my work as a journalist, it will be hard. I hear it from many journalists, Middle Eastern journalists, where they are really here, but they struggle to work inside news, even it's published in Arabic or in other language.
Okay.
But what I am trying to do is to get myself involved in creating where I want to return back to the first idea, to recreate it again with Youth Media Forum, where I want to create a media platform focusing about the Arabic speakers in Europe. Because now we have big difficulty to share more news. Like if I am a journalist from Middle East or Arab speaker, will not have a choice. I will have a choice to work in a restaurant, which is not shame, or more than work in the media. So what I believe in, that we have to create our platform to the Arabian people who's moved. Because one big important thing in media, you will find that as an Arabian, you will go back to hear the media, it's coming from the Middle East, which is completely controlled. Like an example, Iran, Saudi Arabia, all this is controlling the media. So the media is coming in a religion way or in a political way. You will go to hear the news, or you listen to the TV station or radio station or the website in your own language, in Arabic. So you will not development because you will be stuck with the situation. That's, I see many of writers, journalists, even doctor, professors, they're still stuck in the Middle East, the mentality. They don't deal with the immigrants, and that's what I want the media here to hear. Like, you have to give a space, because if you are scared from these attacks, like an example, if we take Paris attack an example, there is no media speaking to the immigrants here. As an example, if you will go about integration, you need to learn in the language, and you need to hear in the news, everything's about, Switzerland. But you will not feel, integration in the media. You need to be listen to something in your language. So I believe that we need to create more. I need to create a media platform from here to the people who's here with the same level to be in. I know the time is really running away. But what I want to create is to make a media speaking to the Arabian people, Arabian language people here in Europe.
But I have one last question about this. We at Lucify do that, Firas. We speak in Arabic, English, Spanish, French, German, and different Persish. We speak in different languages. And it's directed to both Swiss and immigrant society, because we believe that there are no separate societies. We believe that now what we want is a one full coexisting society. So how is your idea of creating this platform different from what is happening in Lucify or Swiss Info or Watson or any other platform?
Okay, I believe that media is running by the money of sponsorship.
Okay.
When you are in Lucify or Swiss Info or other media platform, will give more space for the journalists. Like I meet a lot of journalists, even some people from Yemen, some people from Iraq, some people from Syria, and they are struggling to be like in Swiss Info, Deutsch Welle in Arabic, France 24, and this. There is no chance for them to be working there. So I believe that when you have the opportunity to open a production, what I'm focusing in is the production. What I do, what is the difficult, I don't want to create news only. No, I need to create a production. I want to create a series where you can see it in the, not just in a small place in outside or in online. No, I want it to be in the Swiss TV where they will buy it. I want to create a platform where you prepare these people who's working here to involve more. I want to create a platform where you can get more investor to work and support your ideas. So Lucify will have a chance and other places to get more support. That's what I think it's what's important to focus in.
I think I could stay here and discuss this with you for hours and hours and hours, but unfortunately we are running out of time. And now I would ask if anybody from our audience has any questions they would like to ask to Firas.
Firas a long time ago, and I had the chance that he find young poets, and I'm still on the end of a book doing with poems, young poems and an old one, and women who try to give her her images, and we do this book in Arab and German. And I make the designs, so one little thing happens, with artists and art. I mean, it will come in a half year because I'm old and I'm not working so quick. But it will happen.
Thank you. Really, I appreciated what we do. Dr. Esther, actually, I met with you with Dr. Ilham Mani. Actually, it's funny, when I was in prison, the first one who's working in a social media, we never met before. She doesn't know me, but when I arrived to Bern, I discovered she's living here. And she was the one who's creating the social media campaign when I was in jail. And I sent her pleasure. When I come and I meet her next to the Zita Glocke, that I feel Zita Glocke is really a special place for me. Because I see always, it's the place where Einstein is cover his theories. So not only Einstein discovered theories, I discovered that Dr. Ilham is here, and Dr. Esther, she introduced me to Dr. Esther, and we start to collect poems from Yemen. It was really hard to find a translation because poems is always hard. And I'm really appreciate when I meet you and we was talking, and this project is really inspiring me and many of young ladies and young people from Yemen. We hope we can do it. And also we do another book with Mr. Blum, and but it's more about the story. It's called One Way Ticket. So it's telling more the stories. What it's happening, I take it as a small chapter.
An integrated thing, It's somehow integrated. Because we were drinking coffee in Einstein. We are not far. Okay.
Thank you very much. It's really appreciated. That's what you're doing.
Tell me about the photos, Firas.
So the photo I just explained, when I arrived to Bern and I see Dr. Ilham, and that was, like I say, that was really nice to meet her. Dr. Ilham, as an example for integration, this is a good example. Some people will not agree with Dr. Ilham in a religion way. But Dr. Ilham, one of the really inspired women, she's Yemeni Swiss, and she's now a really hard number in Swiss when she's sharing and she creating a lot of integration, and she's sharing many things and many topics. And this is, I'm proud, that's why I choose one of the 5 pictures. She's really a great woman, and I appreciate her a lot. Yeah, and this is another photo. I call this photo, I take this photo before and after. When I arrived here to Switzerland, I was with a stick. I was injured. I was having I still have that pain, but now no more stick. And when we want to speak about integration, we have 2 things. This is one of the examples when for 6 years I was working with a stick, and it was really hard. And here I take the same picture next to Gandhi. I jump when I was jumping. So I feel this will explain more, because they say one picture it will tell than 1,000 words. One picture can explain. So integration here, we just doesn't want only to, we need to live in peace and we need good health, but we need to be more in action. That's why I choose this picture. It's also about when you ask me about the book fair. For me, what we can do after recover, like an example, this is Dr. Muhammad Al-Maflahi, where he's the guy I was interviewed in a Cairo book fair about his book. When I moved, and now since 2014, and now we are in 2020, we meet in 2019 in a book fair again, but in Stockholm. And I discovered something really weird. And this is why I start to do a film. It's called Why. I discovered many people. The guy who's invited me to a book fair, he's a Syrian refugee. He was working in the TV and moved to Egypt running away. And he's become now refugee in France. This man, he was a professor in Egypt. He studied and returned, and he worked for 1 year for free. They didn't pay him money, and he had to run away from Yemen, and he ended up, and now he's in London University. They appreciated him, and it's struggling story and struggling career to create himself again, and now he's in Sweden. Dr. Ilham is the same way. She was defending the book fair, and many people where they was around the book fair, they end up as refugees. And now I try to find them, and I create a story about them, and I create it in a film. It's called Why, A Crime in a Book Fair. And I search about them, I travel, and I discover, I try to see where they are in Europe, and I travel for them. And the last photo is actually funny, where I believe always everything is happening for a reason and for surprise. And this is one of the funny and photos it's happening. If you see the man, this man is smiling, and I would like to say thank him. His name, he's from Yemen, and he's a businessman, was working in Malaysia. So this man, when I arrived to Malaysia, I was sick, and I was needs for surgery. And I was with a stick in it. And I entered his office. It was a friend who introduced me to him. He said, he will help you with this first surgery. And I entered to his office, and he helped me with that surgery. But because the situation in Yemen, his job is start to be stopped. So he helped me once. And imagine, when I was filming my film, it's called Why, and I was in Vienna. Actually, this is in Vienna. And now, imagine, after 3 years, a guy entered to your place with a stick and all we need for immediate surgery help. And after that, 3 years later, he was walking in Vienna, and I saw him in the street, and I say, Mr. Marwan, his name is Mr. Marwan. I say hello again for him. And I say, Mr. Marwan, he gets shocked. 3 years, you see a man entering your office asking for help for surgery. And now You see him when you're on the tour. So that was, I believe everything was for a reason. And what we are doing, I was only limited with 5 photos. I have a lot of photos, I have a lot of stories. But what I want to say, that imagine, I arrived here, and I was here, I came in a way to speak as a person who come with a stake. I arrive here with a stake. And I'm trying here to speak about story and the journey, how I changed. But this change is really mean to me a lot, because yes, I don't know how to say it, but here sometimes we didn't understand Swiss people or European people. We feel like they are like we don't understand, or maybe you cannot go directly. But at least here we find ourselves, like what we say, like always we say غربة. Al-ghurba, which is mean when you immigrant or exile. I was finding exile more in my country more than here. And that's why it's end up like people here will help you. Yeah, they help you, they stand with you, even you will not notice it in the faces. Even we will have a difficult. When we arrive here, we don't just look up at injuries with a stick or so. There is a real fight inside the mentality where we face a war, we face fight, we face a killing. So when we need to be talk, we understand each other's, there is ups and downs always. But it end up here that I am now again here, starting again. So it will be something like, I wish in 2 or 3 years, it will be same like this photo. I arrive here with a stick, and I arrive here, want to help. But in 2 or 3 years, what's it gonna be?
That's my question for you. That's my last questions for you. What would happen after ICORN for you?
It always, I was afraid, because when you end up like, we arrive in a project, and in Switzerland, the permits things is complicated. Like an example, other guest writers, like in Sweden, Sweden is directly the country is involved in the process. But in Sweden, like they give them a long permit stay. Mm-hmm. But here it will be hard, because you have to apply for like asylum, or try to find a job, or try to find another opportunities. I always believe in one thing, what it can be after. I believe when I left Yemen and I moved to Jordan, I was not expecting to be in Switzerland. I was not expecting to be in Malaysia. So what is bringing me here to Switzerland, it's the ideas I'm working with. And what is after is the dreams I try to make it. More, it's really complicated, but I believe like how I arrive, it will be better, always. I have the dream. And always tomorrow, it's something we make it. Yesterday, that's what is gone, but it will be the memories. Now, we create the current time. It's what we try to do will reflect in tomorrow. So tomorrow will be hard a little bit, but I don't have to fight for it. I have to get faith and believe that tomorrow will be better. If I will be refugee, or if I will be working, or if I will create the things I start to work with, I believe always, I believe in karma. So if you do something good, it will end up in good. So I prefer to create the future than to guess what is future.
And
it's really hard, but we always struggle for a reason. The reason to be here today is to share something, to change. if you accept your situation, if you are sitting in the Middle East or whatever in the country, sometimes even in Switzerland, there's nothing called perfect place. But if you are struggle, that struggle means there's something wrong, and you have to stand up and say, no, we have to change it. How to change it? It's really complicated, but you will discover it by just at least put one step in 1,000 trips. So I'm really thankful for the political forum, really thankful for Ben, Adi, and all the people here, Phoebe, and all the groups here, and the people who have been here with the corona situation, and the people watching the streaming. I wish for you all the best, and I'm thank you to be here for me today. Thank you very much.
I want to know if there is some questions. Then I will say thank you.
Thank you.
Firas, to have shared so many personal experiences and stories of your life. And thank you, Noor, for asking so interesting questions.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you, Dankeschön, Adi, für deine Präsentation.
Danke.
Wir haben noch etwas für euch. Ich schaffe vielleicht. Von Polit-Forum Bern und natürlich von Bern ein paar Haaresteine.
Oh.
Ah, merci. Schokolade always, huh?
Ja.
Merci. Danke, danke.
Merci vielmals.
Danke vielmals.
Bitte. Und ja, danke schön an die Leute, die da heute waren. Diese war unsere vorletzte Veranstaltung hier in Polit-Forum Bern. Wir haben noch nächste Woche mit DSJ eine Polit-Lunch über den Themen Frauen in der Politik. Das wird sehr spannend. Noch über Polit-Forum Bern, wir haben noch unsere Ausstellung ist bis März nächstes Jahr verlängert und wir sind am Arbeiten und aktualisieren die Aufnahmezustand über die Situation und Corona in der Schweiz und international Ausblick. Für mehrere Informationen schauen Sie gerne unsere Website und Newsletter. Und ich freue mich sehr und ich wünsche euch noch einen schönen Abend. Danke.
Danke, danke. I want to just get something quick with the video where I love social media, like so if you will not have a problem, we can like just a quick video.